Hello. So today I was thinking I would talk about money as a concept and in practice. Now I don't have a lot of money right now, and I'm not really the best with finances, but I've been trying to learn, and so in the course of all of that, I'm I think about what money means to me and what money is as objectively as possible. And so these are some of my thoughts. So what is money? Um, Basically, the way I see it, money is just a measure of value. It's a marker. So it's not a real thing. The money doesn't have value. The money represents value. So I think people they kind of get hung up on that idea, or not the idea, but the money itself, and they don't acknowledge that idea. They don't acknowledge that the money itself doesn't hold value. It's a representation of value, and other factors determine how valuable that money is. Um, so money is a medium, and that facilitates the exchange of goods and services. That's the whole point of money. It doesn't do much good to deal in big trade agreements. You know, back in the old days, you would trade a sheep for like a bunch of food or something. Um, when you're dealing with certain quantities, that becomes cumbersome. So you can't you can't trade thousands of sheep for so much food if you're like an agriculture company or something. So everything has a money value, and then you can trade with the money. You know, everything costs money, and that value is dictated by a supply and demand system. It works pretty well. Capitalism is it's good in that way. Um, but I think what happens is people kind of they get their priorities mixed up, and they start pursuing money, or they start thinking of money as the thing to acquire instead of why you would even want the money. Um, so I think a lot of people they want money either for material stuff. You know, they want a nice house or nice clothes or just expensive things or something. Or maybe they might have good taste. You know, like some food is kind of rare or it takes a lot to prepare, so it's expensive. So that makes sense. Like you want money because you want nice material things. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, as long as that's not your whole life. But other people, I think, they want money because they want freedom, and I don't think they consciously recognize that. I think they want money so they don't have to work. If I had this much money, I wouldn't have to do X, you know, whatever it is. But I think it's kind of a bad attitude because you should focus on that thing that you want or don't want rather than money to give it to you. So, like, if you want money so you have free time, so you don't have to work or something like that, then why don't you just focus on how to get more free time? You know, like, why don't you focus on getting a job that you're doing something you like so you feel like you have free time? You know, you get a job you like, you don't work a day in your life, that kind of thing. And so it's like little, you know, this isn't any new wisdom or it's not a very deep or introspective epiphany or anything like that. But I think people, you know, they lose sight of the stuff that they already do know. It's just kind of on the periphery of their consciousness. Um, we also have kind of a predisposed problem with our attitudes towards money as like a status symbol, you know, in our society. And I think it's natural in all human cultures. You know, there's monetary status symbols, you know, like you're a hotshot if you've got this nice car or a house or jewelry, whatever it is. And that makes sense to a degree because it's tied to value. If you have a lot of money, you can kind of feel as if that value is transferred to you. Like, I'm worth a lot of money. Like, I have a lot of money, therefore I am worth a lot. And then I can convey that by showing it off. You know, I have these status symbols. I have this big house. I have this nice car. I am worth a lot. Um, but I think that's just, you know, that's not the way to do things. And, you know, it's kind of classical wisdom that people aren't happy pursuing wealth or status symbols just for the sake of them. You know, it's because those are just substitutes for actually being at peace with who you are. You know, if you're looking for other people to validate if you're good enough and you need to posture or you need to show off to prove you have value, you probably don't think of yourself as having inherent value. Like, why else would you be trying to display your value if you felt otherwise. So that's my thought on that. So that's probably a bad attitude. So I keep saying this word value, and as it relates to money. So I think that's what people should focus on. I think that's what would be healthy for all of us to focus on, is what is valuable, not just what is expensive, like what is not monetarily valuable, but what is valuable. What has good value, and that's subjective, but I think there's some objectivity to that. So there are certain things that you can say are objectively healthy as far as like attitudes or behaviors for humans, and I think if we explore those, we'll ultimately be happier, and we will actually generate more wealth among more people. Because right now, I think we're kind of reaching an interesting, right now I mean in human civilization development, we're reaching a point of critical mass where I think we're going to see a transition. And this might be a long video, so let me see if I can sum this up real quick as I see it. I'm not a historian or anything, but the way I see it, human civilization, and the things I've heard or read about, it goes through these transition periods into kind of a whole new baseline, like a whole new normal. So, a long time ago, it was like a hunter-gatherer situation, just small groups of people, and, they would hunt and kill animals for food, or just forage for whatever you could find, like berries or fruit in the forest. And that gave way to agriculture, which was more sustainable. You get more bang for your buck. It's not that hard. It's easier to tend a field than it is to like forage a bunch of berries, and you get a much higher yield. And that's dependable. If you know how to cultivate plants, you can control your food source, and that kind of frees you up for other things. So as humans are freed up for other things, they developed more complex civilizations, and they had more free time to invest in art and expressing themselves and creative endeavors, which led to more innovations and more thought-provoking things, which led, it just keeps leveling up. And then you get stuff like the merchant class, which is basically a way that people who aren't born of a certain caste can elevate themselves. You can be a merchant if you weren't born royalty. You can kind of still be on that same power level in society by amassing wealth, by basically proving your value to the society with the goods you offer or the services you offer as a merchant. And then you get into like the industrial era, where that whole concept is kind of pushed to the extreme, and there's just like tons and tons of goods and distributing them. You industrialize things, people learn, or they capitalize on the idea that it's not that much harder to make like 1 million of something if you're already making 10. It's like when you make stew or something, like it's not that much more effort to make a giant pot of stew than just like a little one for 4 people. So that idea proliferates, and then there's like kind of an abundance. But of course everything has its drawbacks, and as industrialism and industrial capitalism kind of spread, they kind of become more consumptive than they are beneficial, or they like kind of produce unwanted byproducts. And so I think we're reaching a point now where capitalism is kind of, I think it's about time for a change or a rehaul or something like that. And because obviously the point of each of these upgrades in human civilization is just a higher quality of life for humans. We're pretty clever, we're good problem solvers, we're curious, and we like thinking outside the box, and we like problem solving in general. So every new step has been a new way that society can organize itself to make life easier for more people and a better quality of life. Now we're reaching a point in capitalism, from my point of view. I'm obviously a white man in the United States. I'm super privileged, and I have every benefit to for me. I don't have any hardships really. But as near as I can tell, people are getting to this point where they're kind of creating problems so they can create solutions. Because the idea behind capitalism, as I see it, is everybody can kind of do more of what they want and specialize in something, and that way everybody wins. So if I like cleaning, or I don't mind it as much, I would rather just clean 10 houses because I don't want to build my house, and then I can hire someone else with the money I make to build my house. And the idea is we just, kind of trade in what we're good at or what we enjoy doing. That way we don't have to do everything ourselves, and it's a good deal. Like capitalism's a good deal. Everybody gets more for less, but we're reaching a point now where that's not necessarily the case, and quality of products is worse, and I think that's because a lot of times companies, that bottom line is what they're after. It's like, produce it cheaper. And again, it's circling back to my idea of money. You lose sight of your goal, and you're like, well, we want to make more money. It's like, well, the whole reason you exist is to provide a service or a good. And so now you're compromising the value of that, so you can obtain more perceived value. That's not real. You're trying to save money or make more money by actually offering less value. And that's obviously not good. We don't want to be there. And so I'm hoping that things move forward. I've heard, if you guys want to check out Hunter Motz and Brian Callen, they have this podcast called Mixed Mental Arts, play on mixed martial arts, and their whole thing is the pursuit of wisdom. And their idea is the next stage in human development. They call it, like post-capitalism, and they think that is a world of autonomy where everybody kind of has more agency. And the internet's a good tool for that. Like, everybody has a platform, everybody has all the resources they could possibly need to be productive and prolific and educate themselves. And then in that way, you kind of build a meritocracy where people stand on their own merit instead of perceived merit. And that's kind of like a lot of the flaws with capitalism now. Like, you get some of these businesses that they kind of seem too big to fail. Like, they don't produce products that are that good, but they have their finger in so many pies that they're not going to fail because, they move enough units of garbage that they could still support their operation, and then they can invest in something else, and then, they can kind of just keep that can kicked down the road instead of actually innovating and being like a prolific, helpful part of whatever market they're working in. So hopefully the future is more like in that direction of autonomy, and I think that the only way we're going to get there and we could build a meritocracy is that's going to take a cultural overhaul. People are going to need to have an understanding of what value actually means and what money actually is and how it relates to their lives and how they need to be valuable as a person to society, not just to whatever job they choose so they can make money, so they can have an easy life, or whatever people want money for. So that's my thoughts on that. I'm going to make another video on the idea of objectivity as an illusion, just because it's kind of a lot, and I don't want to make too long of videos. This one's already almost 13 minutes, so I'm going to stop this one there, and then I'll see you guys on my next video talking about objectivity. So you can follow me on social media at Ben the Evil Clown, all one word, all lowercase. I'm on Instagram mostly. I post my art there, and as it relates to money and all these ideas in this YouTube channel, I'm building an intellectual property, an IP. I've been coming up with this idea to try and help this cultural overhaul, and so I might start getting into that. It's kind of complex, so if you guys are interested, follow me there, or message me, ask questions, and hopefully I can get more people on board, or hopefully more people to tear down my ideas and challenge them. That scientific method, you gotta experiment, and the only thing that survives through the fire is the thing that works. So like right now I don't have a lot of people to talk about these things with, therefore I don't have a lot of people challenging me, and that's bad. I don't want to be thinking that I'm right about all these things if nobody's there to critique me. So please tear all of my ideas down, and I'll, as long as you're not being an asshole, you're not being bullheaded, we can have an actual discussion about it. I would really like that. I really enjoy people challenging my ideas and questioning them, and hopefully helping my mind expand and grow and come to better conclusions. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys for the next video. I'll just do it right now, but it'll be 2 videos on objectivity. So I'll see you guys then.